What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? What's up, Donald?
Donald came in like as soon as we hit the air. Donald was like, "Oh, I'm here."
All right, y'all. So what's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, listen. This is our first week of Division by Division Talk. 2025 NFC South is who we starting off with. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. Coach Williams, the NFL Encyclopedia, the Wildcat quarterback that runs this whole thing. As I said, 8 weeks for Division by Division Talk. This is week 1 right here, NFC South, okay? Next week's going to be AFC South. That direction, panel 316, the good guy with the black hat. What's up, man?
Hey, man, I can't call it, man. I just know that I don't understand what the Steelers doing, but we're going to get to that.
Oh, Lord have mercy, man. Man, that's a you know, that's like the movie title, man. That's a low down dirty shame, man.
Yo, that's I know that's we probably share the same take, but I know there's gonna be some other people that may disagree. I don't know. We got a minute before we get to the AFC North, but we will have a Steelers fan on for the AFC North to talk about his team and the move that they made, which I feel like is an ill-fated one, but nevertheless, let's get into talk about a couple of these free agent moves before we start talking about tonight's show. Tonight's show is the NFC South. This is the first show in our 8-week series where we talk about each division in football. Oh, Lord. Okay, Anthony Lewis is in the house. But this is our first show where in our 8-week series where we go by division. We talk about the moves that were made by the 4 teams in the division. And then at the end of the show, we make our predictions for how we think that division is going to fall this particular season. So tonight is NFC South. Next week will be AFC South, and then we'll go from there. And we'll put our schedule up on our Facebook page.
Yes, definitely.
We'll get to your team, and it's not too late if we have not gotten to your
division
yet. If you'd like to be a guest representing your team, and that spot has not already been taken, then contact us. We'll vet you. And we'll see about putting you on the show. All right, let's get to it.
So, you want Pando says, I guess way better than me. Would you like to introduce him?
Well, we got to talk about the free agents first.
We're gonna do it that way.
Yeah, we're doing 3 moves first. Then we're gonna get in the AFC South.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's jump into it. Then let's talk about the Steelers.
You want to go there first? I was just going to talk about Jair Alexander and Nick Chubb.
Okay, we'll go Jair Alexander then.
Because, hey, man. Okay.
The Green Bay Packers decided to release their longtime top-notch corner, but always often injured cornerback Jair Alexander, man. He's been released today. They tried to get a trade partner for him. I heard Buffalo was trying to do something before the draft, or at least early in free agency, but talks fell apart. So, I mean, Eric, what do you think about Jair Alexander, man? Because this guy, he's a good corner, but often injured.
Well, that's first thing first. I know defensive backs. Yes, when he's healthy, he is an excellent cornerback. But the operative phrase is when he's healthy. And that's the issue. Green Bay did that due diligence. They offered him a restructured deal and said, hey, man, we're going to give you this deal for this much, and we're going to backload it with incentives. Meaning you got to be on the field because your best ability is your availability.
That's right.
He played 7 games out of a 17-game season last year. I don't think he's played a full season, I think, since his rookie season.
I think it's been 34 games total, hasn't he?
Yes. So, it's like he's starting to get that label of injury prone. And he wants a new deal. He didn't take the deal that Green Bay gave him, obviously, because they released him. And I'm willing to bet that Green Bay was like, okay, look, hey, so sorry. Go see what the market can give you. We wish you the best. But this the deal on the table right here. And we ain't going no further than that. And rightfully so. Green Bay did a good job by doing that. Now, is there going to be a team stupid enough to give him a big deal? Yes, because there's always one. Somebody going to give him some ridiculous deal, and they're going to get screwed out of their money because they're going to front load all that money. They're going to give it to him. He's going to play really great for a few games. Something's going to happen. He's going to get injured. And now they're going to be looking stupid holding the bag because they guaranteed all his money. So my thing is, I was talking to some friends of mine that are fans of my team, and it was like, hey, Jair Alexander. I was like, absolutely not. Because one, we're trying to get younger and we're trying to get cheaper. And he's the antithesis of both of those things. So any teams that are trying to get younger and cheaper, that's not a good idea. And I know people are going to say, well, he's 28 years old. Okay, but his body is like a 30-something-year-old because he's injury prone. So it's a huge risk. If you want him, go get him. But everybody's got to get together in the league. All of the GMs going to be like, okay, look, this is all we're going to give you. And we're going to backlog all your stuff with incentives. I'm backload your deal with incentives. Okay, you get this many interceptions. You play this many downs. You play this many games. You don't miss this many games. Okay, you get all this money. But we're not giving you nothing up front. Every smart GM is going to say that to him. That's what I got.
Yeah, man. Like you said, he's 20 years old, but his body's older than what he is. So it's like, yeah, you sign him, but he may not. He's going to be slower and less athletic than what he once was. And as you get older, you don't get more athletic; you get slower. So that's when you're supposed to rely on your technique. But you can't really get better if you're not on the field because you're constantly in the training room or you're constantly on the sidelines working out with the trainers trying to get healthy.
I push back just a little bit on him getting slower or whatever. I still believe that when he's completely healthy, he's still one of the best in the league. However, I just don't think he's gonna stay healthy.
He's definitely not going to be whatever he once was. His time is running out quick on him. It really is because these injuries pile up too much. It's almost like Malik Hooker in Dallas, man. Malik Hooker, to me, suffered way too many injuries in Indianapolis. And listen,
actually, at Ohio State, then Indianapolis.
Yeah, he as a deep ball safety, he could see it, but because of his injuries, his body won't allow him to get to where he wants to be, where he needs to be, at a certain point. But it's over. It's over for. I mean, it's almost over for Jair Alexander, man. I give him 2 years tops, maybe 3, and that's it, man. That's it.
I would take him if he was playing on a discounted deal, which gives us a really nice segue into the next player we're going to talk about. But if he's got to learn how to humble himself and not think that he's that dude anymore because of those injuries, he's got to say, well, you know what, I'm going to take what I can get. I'm going to come in, I'm going to sign a 1-year proven deal with somebody, and I'm going to eat, and I'm going to show people, because guess what? He signs that 1-year deal. He does stay healthy. He does play well. Guess what? Somebody's going to give him a better deal at 29 because he's still above 30. So that's what he's going to have to do if he's going to have to bet on himself.
Definitely.
But that's what people see right now when they look at Jair Alexander. Folks at home that are watching, if you got any comments about Jair Alexander or any of these free agents that we're about to talk about, please make sure that you comment in the comment box. We'll put it up and we'll talk about it. Moving on, talking about a player who has not necessarily often injured, but he had a catastrophic injury he's coming back from. The Houston Texans have signed Nick Chubb, not Nick Chubb, Yeah, Nick Chubb. Excuse me, I get the Bradley and Nick mixed up all the time. Running back Nick Chubb to a $2.5 million deal for 1 year is backloaded with what? Guess what?
Incentives.
So I'm willing to bet that those incentives that he has to make is okay. I got to stay healthy. Okay, I got to get this many yards. I got to get so on and so forth. I think the Texans played this perfectly because they're not asking him to be their bell cow back. They're asking him to basically spell Joe Mixon. He's the spell back for Joe Mixon. And no longer is he the bell cow. And they recognize that. He recognizes that. And he's just saying, I need a shot to prove that I still got it, that I'm healthy. And this is the perfect opportunity. Not to mention, he's going to be playing for a contending team. I think it's excellent.
Yeah, no, definitely. And he'll be able to back up. Come on now. Should be done with this. How do I? Oh, never mind. Okay. Anyway, my bad. Now Nick Chubb as a backup to not Damian Pierce. Joe Mixon, man, that's a great acquisition because Joe Mixon gets to catch a breather every now and then, and Nick Chubb should be able to do almost the exact same thing, just in a reduced role. He should know the system because it's a Shanahan. No, wait a minute. Now they got new offensive coordinator.
Yep. That offense had a complete overhaul. I think they're gonna be throwing the ball a whole lot more than what they were running it, or it's gonna be more of a balanced attack. Either way, they're not asking a whole lot of him. It's a 1 year proven deal. Give us some depth at running back. Yes, absolutely, Eric James, who we got a surprise for y'all tonight. But he's a heck of a pickup, especially at the price that they picked him up at. Because if he is still healthy, if he has come back from that injury and he's anywhere close to what he once was, man, Houston, they did that thing. Nick Caserio did a fantastic thing. We're gonna talk more about it next week when we go into the AFC South. But let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Go ahead, Brandon. I think everybody knows where we're going with this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what to say about this Steelers franchise. When you are, let's go ahead and talk about this. Let's talk about the Steelers overall as a franchise first, and talk about their history. Okay, the Pittsburgh Steelers have typically been a organization that has had so much stability and success because of it.
Because of their responsibility.
Yeah.
Responsible decisions.
Yes. Chuck Noll was a head coach for a long time and then he retired. Bill Cowher became a head coach for quite a while and then retired. Now Mike Tomlin's the head coach and he's had success. They've had quarterbacks, especially Bradshaw and Roethlisberger. Okay. And so when everybody knows when you think Pittsburgh, it's just everything I've said. And like you said, Eric, they've been responsible. But for some reason, they have not been responsible lately. And it's not just this year. It's really overall in the last few years. Because as Roethlisberger got older, drafted in 2004, I believe, with Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers out of Miami of Ohio, as he got older, they never drafted a quarterback to be ready to replace him. And so Roethlisberger retires. They try to go with Mason Rudolph, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, and now, and Kenny Pickett as well, because they drafted him in the first round.
Dear Lord.
And now they have signed Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers got cut by the Jets for a legitimate reason. Aaron Glenn made a responsible decision, a decision he learned from Bill Parcells, that if you're thinking about retiring, you are retired. So he cut him. And Aaron Rodgers is a declining quarterback, okay? And here's a guy that's sitting here talking about, well, I don't know if I want to retire now, if I want to play or not. And so Pittsburgh decides to say, well, we're going to wait for you versus adding a quarterback in free agency or via trade or via draft even. Because there's a quarterback that fell in the 5th round that should not have drafted in the 5th round, and you have multiple opportunities, just like everybody else did, to draft this guy. But you decide to pass up on Shedeur Sanders as well.
Multiple opportunities.
Multiple opportunities. So to say this, Aaron, even with the Steelers signing Aaron Rodgers, you look at the conference. The Ravens are better than you.
Yeah, start with the division, then go to the conference.
Okay, let's go division first. We already know Baltimore. We already know who Baltimore is. Okay. All Cincinnati got to do is make sure the defense holds team to, let's say, 21 points or less. Okay. And then go into the conference. Buffalo. So Buffalo's now team number 3 is better than you. Okay. You can argue Miami. Houston's better than you. And then the AFC West, you got 3 teams over there that's better than you in Kansas City Chiefs, LA Chargers, and the Denver Broncos. Okay? So what I'm saying is you missed out on getting a quarterback to improve your roster, and your Super Bowl window has basically shut down. And what's going to end up happening is you all are going to the Steelers are probably going to win too many games to try to draft one of these 5 or 6 quarterbacks next year, and they're going to miss the playoffs. And you look at that roster is basically done. Cam Hayward's 36 years old. I think he has 1 more year after this season. TJ Watt is on an expiring contract. He wants more money. Minka Fitzpatrick, you can basically trade him as well. I would trade Joey Porter Jr. Instead of trying to pay him, because that roster is finished. That team is finished. The Super Bowl window is basically shut.
Okay, my turn. Let me. Okay, so a lot of people are like, well, they just need Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, and because they just trying. These are unrealistic people. There is no way that the Pittsburgh Steelers have enough that if you add a 40-something-year-old Aaron Rodgers to the roster, that they're going to contend for a championship. Okay, so you're looking at things realistically. If Aaron Rodgers plays his absolute best at his age and where he is right now, you're looking at right around the same record they had last year. Okay, somewhere up in that window, which is not good enough to threaten for a championship. The ceiling is they're the 7th seed in the AFC, and then they probably get booted somewhere along the line. People are saying, well, Aaron Rodgers. You're still thinking about the Green Bay Aaron Rodgers that won a Super Bowl. You're still thinking about the Aaron Rodgers who always had the Packers in contention until they saw the 49ers in the playoffs, because he's 0-4 against the 49ers in the playoffs. But I'm being shady. But what I'm saying is you're thinking about that guy. He's not that guy anymore. And y'all have got to stop, okay? I don't know a Steelers fan. I know a lot of them, but I don't know a Steelers fan that's going, oh, yeah, this is a great move. Yeah, and then you got the people that saying, well, we just got it for 1 year, and then we're gonna find us a quarterback. How? Because Aaron Rodgers is just good enough to put you drafting somewhere in the late 20s when all of the quarterbacks are gone next year. Yes, this is a very fruitful quarterback class. It's supposed to be coming next year. It is. Absolutely. I wish Tristan was here to talk about it. But if you're drafting that late in the draft, you're not going to get the pick of the litter of these quarterbacks. So basically, with this signing, you are putting your team in purgatory. It's irresponsible. It's extremely irresponsible. And I'm going to say it like we said off the air. It's very un-Steelers-ish. It's un-Pittsburgh-ish. It's very Cleveland Brown-ish, actually, that type of move. Because, again, I'm very disappointed in the Steelers because That franchise, I've always had respect for that franchise because they've always made responsible decisions. You let Aaron Rodgers play in your face the whole off season. I don't know if I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play. I don't know if I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play. I don't know if I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play. So finally he decides he gonna play. You know what that is? That's the girl. Aaron Rodgers is the girl you had a crush on your sophomore year in high school. And you tried to get a date. You tried to get a date. You tried to get a date. She kept turning you down. And then finally, you get with her when she's 45 years old with 4 baby daddies and barely got a doggone job, and she looked like the lunch lady. And you acting like it's a catch now. That's what Aaron Rodgers is right now. Okay? And I'm sorry if I'm shattering somebody's illusion or whatever else like that, but that's the reality of it. And still, I'm very disappointed in you. I'm very disappointed in you because this is a lose-lose situation. You cannot sit up here and convince me that Aaron Rodgers is going to bring you a championship this year. Absolutely, Eric James. That's a good analogy. He said Aaron Rodgers is Jenny from Forrest Gump. Basically. If you ain't seen Forrest Gump, watch it. It's a very good movie, Tom Hanks. But that's the thing. There is no scenario where y'all come out on top unless something really lucky happens. So, Pittsburgh, y'all got to do better. Tristan.
You guys kind of, well, Eric, you nailed it right on the head. It's definitely a lose-lose situation. First of all, you're dealing with the fact that Aaron Rodgers is not the Aaron Rodgers of old. I think I even hated the fact that I was watching how the Steelers try to promote it. And I guess they have to do it because they got to sell it to the fans. But they tried to show highlights of Aaron Rodgers from like 5, 6 years ago. It's like he's not that guy. He isn't that. And they're showing his Hail Mary throws, and I'm like, he ain't done that since before COVID. Like you're showing stuff that is non-existent right now. And the last we've seen of him, he was pedestrian. He showed slight flashes with the Jets towards the end of the season, but it was literally flashes, which you expect from all-time players. They will show flashes. All-time players always show a great moment in them because it's always going to be there. They were that great that you always get that last little gasp of greatness. But when it comes to the consistency in a 17-week season, he's not going to be the guy that you need him to be. But he's going
Especially
to
in
be
that
just good enough.
division. Thank you.
Exactly. He's going to be just good enough that you're going to miss out or you're going to have to trade crazy to get one of these hot shot QBs next year because you're not going to suck enough to be in like the top 5, top 6 in the draft. You're not going to be that bad. And so it's like, so you're going to get maybe a less than average talent because you got Aaron Rodgers on a 1-year deal when you could have gone with Mason Rudolph. And it's really not to not Mason Rudolph because my thing is you get into the NFL, you're a part of the 1%ers. Whether you're a career backup or whatever, you get into the NFL, you one of one. But we all know Mason Rudolph ain't no all-pro, Pro Bowl quarterback.
Exactly.
You could have went into if this was the plan, you could have went into the season with Mason Rudolph because at least worst case scenario, if you're terrible, hey, I'm going to get one of these big shot rookies next year, and there's a lot of them.
It's not just Arch Manning either. It's a lot of them. Like Tristan
It's a
said.
lot of them. Like it's like I said to you guys personally. If Arch Manning decides that he does not want to go into the draft and he wants to play at Texas for another year, this will still be a rich class. It is very much so a possibility. This will still be a rich QB class. Arch Manning is literally just the cream at the top of it. But there's no reason for the Steelers to have made this move. And then you got him coming in to minicamp, a new system that he's never ran, players that he's never thrown to, has no kind of rapport, coaching that he's never gotten from these coaches. Y'all really just think he's going to be the MVP Aaron Rodgers, and he's not. And I need Steeler fans to get that through their head before they have this false illusion of what they think they're going to get, because you're going to be disappointed.
Very disappointed.
I'm not gonna throw Steelers fans under the bus because I haven't heard any Steelers fans jumping for joy about
Well,
this.
I have. That's why.
Okay,
That's why
well,
I've been going
okay,
off about it.
okay. So I defer to you and your crop of Steelers fans that you know, but it's not pretty. It's really not. It's a lose because he's gonna win you just enough games to have you drafting late. And then you're going to have to give up a whole lot of capital to move up in the draft to get one of these really good quarterbacks. And if you stand pat, now you're rolling the dice again, hoping that one falls in your lap when you had one fall in your lap this year in the draft. If Aaron Rodgers was the plan, you always have a backup plan. In the military, they always talk about. I'm not a veteran, but in the military, they always talk about you always have a backup, a contingency. 2 is 1, 1 is none. Okay.
I honestly
I'm
feel.
scared to say I'm ashamed to say that Cleveland had a better idea than Pittsburgh when it came to quarterback.
I
Okay, Joe
honestly
Flacco,
feel
our
that
starter.
this is. I honestly feel that this is, and I never thought that I would have. I would ever have a negative thing to say about Mike Tomlin, but I honestly, truly believe because I know how the Roonies are and how they dealt with their coaches. Their coaches get full autonomy. So I'm not going to say, "Oh, this was somebody else's decision." This is on
He
Mike
gets no,
Tomlin's desk,
he gets some of
and
the blame.
I really feel like his arrogance has taken over in this aspect because I think he feels that if he gets adequate play out of Aaron Rodgers, because he's never had a losing season, because he's gotten into the playoffs, I think he feels he can do something in regards to it because he has Aaron Rodgers.
And that's nuts. Because there's no backup plan. There's no realistic contingency.
Am I?
Because
Am I?
again, let me finish this thought. Again, you got to have 2 is 1, 1 is none. Cleveland did better with their whole quarterback situation. Joe Flacco's the starter, but you got Shador back there. You got Kenny Pickett's not great, but you got the other kid,
Gabriel.
Yeah, you got 2. They went 3 is 1. It's like somebody got to work out here in Cleveland, and you know what? I don't even blame them for that, but Pittsburgh, they put all their eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket and say, "This is it. This is what we gonna do." And it's like, come on, man. And I'm losing a lot of respect for the organization, and I'm losing a lot of respect for Mike Tomlin. And watch this. After this season, he still ain't gonna get fired because you know why? They're gonna be just above 500.
Yeah, but you know what though? Guess what? After this season, like I said earlier, they're gonna have to clean up this roster.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to clean up this roster because this team needs to get ready to go through a rebuild. This defense is
Literally
old and
wasted.
long in the tooth.
I was about to say they literally wasted a quality defense that you had a good balance of young talent and veteran talent, and now they're all old. And you've wasted it because you did not have a contingency plan post Ben Roethlisberger. Now, some people will probably say, "Well, they did draft Kenny Pickett," but anyone that saw Kenny Pickett at Pittsburgh knew that one, you either had to sit him for a while and let him learn until he was ready, or that he just wasn't it. So you did not have again a contingency for post Ben Roethlisberger era. You did not have a contingency for it. You thought you could ride the back of Najee Harris, but your offensive line wasn't that great. So Najee Harris just did what he could do. Najee Harris was good, but he wasn't an all-world running back. So it wasn't somebody that you can rest your laurels on. You made bad decisions.
I'm very disappointed. But let's move on because we have a guest waiting in the green room. And like the title of this show tonight, it's about the NFC South. We're talking about the Buccaneers. We're talking about the Falcons. We're talking about the Panthers. And yes, we are talking about the New Orleans Saints. And we have a guest today. He's been one of our faithful followers on our show, and he's also been a guest on this show before. He is no stranger to the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome from the Who Dat Nation, my brother from another mother, Eric James.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Coach
What's going on?
Sando, Tristan, how y'all doing, fellas?
Oh man, we good, man. We wait for you to spit that high five like you was doing the other week.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like, I mean, every comment he was like, boom, 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 boom. Every comment.
Oh yeah, I remember that last week. Yeah, last week, it was crazy, man.
Man, well, I appreciate it, man. Just it's stuff I think about when, what if the scenarios, just try to think about what can go wrong, what can go right. And speaking of that, it's not looking pretty for my New Orleans Saints right now. I'm just gonna keep it 100, keep it a buck, however you want to call it. It's not looking good.
Appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask everybody a question, and we can start with Eric James. And this is just to start the NFC South discussion overall as a division. How does everybody feel about the NFC South in general before we like really start breaking this thing down? Just give me something. Just give me like an overall view or something, like a brief summary. How does everyone feel about the NFC South?
It's going to be another throw it up in the air, anybody can win thing. But one thing's for sure, the New Orleans Saints are not going to win it. I'm a Saints fan, who that nation. It's a lot of pros going on for the Saints. But it's back to, let's just be real. Mickey Loomis, being Mickey Loomis, is putting the team in jeopardy once again. And I'm not feeling us now. Between Atlanta and Tampa Bay, either one of them can win a division. Carolina's a sleeper. Let's just be real, because they've been slowly building over the past few seasons, and they started to bring it together at the end of last season. And if I'm correct, they didn't lose a lot in free agency, and they picked up more than they lost, at least my understanding. I could be wrong, but yeah, it can be any of those three teams, just like it's been the past few seasons.
Okay.
Ever since Drew Brees and Sean Payton left, it's up in the air, and it's going to be up in the air again.
Anybody else have a brief summary about the NFC South, real quick?
Yeah, I got next. Like Eric said, this is a toss it up in the air, and whoever hands it lands in, that's who's going to get the division, and it's probably going to be a repeat of next year. Not necessarily saying the same team, but whoever that team is that comes out of this division is probably going to get booted in the first round. This is a very, very weak division. There are some teams that are getting stronger, but it's not quite ready for prime time. It's that bitter harvest. It's the pickings is slim, and we started with this division because we're gonna ramp up as we go. But there are so many teams that's like, well, they doing this, but dang. And there's another, you look at another team, well, they did do. Ooh. Well, how about damn? It's like when you look at the entire division, you're saying that. Some you got more oohs than okay. With most teams, but you got that energy. That's the energy. It's like, what is the NFC South really? What is it? So before we break into that, that's just my overall look at that in that division. I was talking to one of my coworkers. I hope he signed on tonight watching. But he's a Saints fan, and he was like, "Yeah, man, y'all, you gonna drag my Saints on your show?" I said, "It's not dragging." I said, honestly, the whole division is kind of like helter skelter. He's like, football. He said it with that tone of voice, football. But yeah, it's crazy. Tristan?
Listen, I mean, we're sounding like a broken record at this point. It's the same thing. I mean, it's really it's a three-horse race, in my opinion, with the third horse being distant, because I think it really boils down to the Falcons and the Bucks. And really, it's for the Falcons to lose. Um, you need a quarterback in this league. You need a quarterback in this league, and the Saints ain't got one. They don't. And Bryce Young is looking like he might turn into Alabama Bryce Young. Um, Baker Mayfield seems to have found his niche right there in Tampa with Todd Bowles. And I've always been a fan of Michael Penix. I thought he should have been the starter from day one last year over Kirk Cousins. I ain't care about the money that Kirk Cousins got, no way. I thought he has one of the prettiest footballs thrown. I've seen in a long, long time. That thing is pretty to watch. Um, so and he has the weapons, on the offensive side of the ball to really be potent. So I'm excited. I'm actually excited to see the Falcons this year. Um, but the Saints, man, listen, I just wouldn't be shocked if the Saints had land in the top three of the draft. I mean, it just I really don't see how it could be anything different. They're another team. They wasted their defense. They wasted it. They
Yeah, they
wasted
did.
their defense. They wasted Alvin Kamara's greatness. They wasted it because they couldn't figure out post Drew Brees era. And it happens a lot, except for the Green Bay Packers. It seems like when you come off a Hall of Fame quarterback, I mean, it's like dark times ahead. You just hope that you get lucky. And I know some wishful thinking is that the Saints are bad enough, and Arch Manning comes out and he can get drafted to the Saints. Go back to his hometown where his granddaddy played, and if that's the case, then the football guys really love the Mannings. But we don't know what's going to happen down the line. But they'll definitely be in the running for one of these QBs next year, for sure. You have to, because I just don't believe. Listen, you don't get healthier going into the NFL. It don't happen that way. This you can't even call him a kid because he's really a grown man. I mean, the man he was going to be 28 when the season starts or something like that.
Who's that?
What's the name?
Show,
How do you pronounce his name? Eric
show,
or Eric
So,
James?
I think
so
Show.
Oh
is
yeah,
it show or
yeah,
shuck?
yeah.
I thought
That
like shuck like you shucking corn.
Right. But this man, the injuries that he had in college were not random injuries. These were like career, potentially career-ending injuries, and injuries that a quarterback should not have. You shouldn't have a broken your collarbone multiple times in the throwing shoulder. Like you know what I'm saying? Your knees, you had an issue with your hip, you had an issue with your back. You're Humpty Dumpty. I mean, how long do you think you're going to last with an offensive line that is not? I mean, I know they drafted to try to build it, but it's not one of the elite offensive lines. So he going to get hit. Like is not he's not avoiding that. So you're more than likely going to be looking in the draft to QB again. And again, another team that could have drafted Shador Sanders. Again, remember I told you guys, and I'm getting off this because I know we got to move forward. But I said this pre-draft. I thought New Orleans Saints would have been an ideal fit for Shador because of the style that Kellen Moore played quarterback when he was at Boise. It's that same timing, precision, pre-reads, post-read. Like that's Shador's game. That's his strengths. So I thought that was just a match made in heaven. But I guess, hey, I don't get paid to be a GM. But I thought that
hey
I
man,
thought
hey,
that was
neither do
But
I,
we
man. Neither
should.
do I.
hey.
It's true. Hey,
But
oh
we
my
should.
goodness.
So I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do, honestly, besides just have a bad year. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
All right, so let's break it down. I have the well, what did I put it? Okay, the strengths of schedule for these four teams. Um, the good news is that the New Orleans Saints have the second easiest schedule going into the 2025 season in terms of opponent win percentage last year. Okay, Carolina has the fifth easiest, and then you move up a little bit. Atlanta and Tampa are right around the 10th or 12th easiest schedules. So this whole division has easy schedules. Um, nobody's really um, playing a really really tough schedule. There were some moves that were made by some of these teams, like in the offseason as well as the draft. Nobody really drafted bad. Let's be real. Nobody drafted bad in this division. But I think the question is it enough for certain teams? I think that will be the issue. Is like, okay, they added some players. And to your point, Eric, the Carolina Panthers, they added more than they lost. Atlanta added more than they lost. The Buccaneers, they pretty much stayed even keeled with their losses and their additions. And then, of course, the Saints, they added people, but most of these guys that were notable were older veterans.
including wide receiver Brandon Cooks.
Yes, and I was going to bring him up. Justin Reed's his people are actually from down in Louisiana. He can't. That was a great steal from the Chiefs, but I'm like, Justin Reed, what were you thinking signing there? Because it's like, hey, I think the Saints defense is going to. By the way, stop in the middle of my thought. We're going to actually do a breakdown of who we think is how this division is going to finish. But getting back to my point, I don't understand why someone like Justin Reed. I guess he's going for the money because he's already got a couple of rings with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think it's the money. They did a good job, the Saints did, of putting some cap space back together. Right now, they're at roughly $30 million in cap space, which is crazy considering where they started the offseason. Tampa Bay, the issue with them is there's a new offensive coordinator for the third year in a row that Baker Mayfield's going to have. That may set them back a little bit. Right now, Atlanta looks like they're in the driver's seat. Michael Penix is playing well. They had some key additions. They finally got some pass rushers over there that aren't 300 years old. And Carolina, in my opinion, is adding pieces, but they're not quite ready for prime time yet. So that's a little bit of a preview, of foreshadowing of how I think the division is going to fall if you were paying attention. Brandon, you ain't saying that in a while.
Listen, I'm looking at this division, and it's like, everybody said it. It's come down to 2 or 3 teams. That third team, it just depends on how quickly they can gel together. But, this is, like you said, there's no wow factor. There's no. Hold on, what I'm looking for. What's up, Titus? There's nobody that's, what I'm saying, when they make it to the playoffs, they're not gonna they don't scare anybody. You know what I'm saying? They not like Atlanta. They play San Francisco. They're not gonna win. Tampa Bay, you play Detroit. You're not gonna win. So it's like, yeah, you won the division, but that's all you get. That's all you're gonna get for the year. It's just you won the division. It's not like, oh, this is definitely a 12-win team or this is a 14-win team. No, it's not like that. This is, you're about average. You'll probably win 9 games, maybe 10, and that's about it.
Tristan. Eric.
Yeah, same. Like I said, you're only going to get a couple wins, couple 10 wins here and there. The thing is, there's always a team that may surprise you in the NFL. There's always a team that can be like, oh man, we didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's anybody from the NFC South like that. I think what we see is what they are. And the only thing now I could have said the Bucs, had they made some more significant strides on the offensive side of the ball, but they didn't.
Yeah, and see, Baker Mayfield is capped out.
He's capped. Like what you see, that's the best. That's the best you're going to get, and it might have been good enough had you added some stuff to the offensive side of the ball, but because you didn't,
now
I can't rate you.
Point of order. The Buccaneers did add. I have a tough time pronouncing this young man's name. The wide receiver out of Ohio State.
I don't think that's enough though.
Egbuka,
but that's not enough. Like Trisha said, man.
You looking at? Wait a minute, hold on. So Egbuka is not being looked upon as being the alpha dog receiver because you still have Mike Evans. Chris Godwin has come back. Chris Godwin actually was offered more money to go to New England, to stay in Tampa Bay, and then you have Jalen McMillan. So Ibuka, I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah, you are.
He's going to be the third or fourth receiver. So that's some more targets for Baker Mayfield, and then you also have the running back
Bruce Irvin.
Bucky Irvin,
Yeah.
Buck Irvin, yeah.
who's actually playing who played very well last year.
Sure did.
And then you bring in Hassan Reddick, who's going to bolster that. The defense was already pretty good in Tampa Bay.
So we had a discussion about Hassan Reddick. That boy just now getting to camp.
Yeah, but it's not training camp, so I'm gonna wait and see. The jury's still out.
Now
But
let me be very clear.
Go ahead.
Let me be very clear. I'm one of the people. I like Baker Mayfield, and I like Baker Mayfield fit there in Tampa. I'm not part of the Baker Mayfield can't play club. I think my thing was looking at him. I am one that I thought the Cleveland Browns were premature in letting him walk because Baker Mayfield is not the physical specimen with the physical gifts that's going to carry your team. But Baker Mayfield is someone that if you give him a squad, he's going to operate for you. And that's what Tampa Bay is doing. It's like, okay, Baker, we see you. We see what you are. We see what your limitations are. So let us build this team around you so you can help us contend. I just don't think it's there yet right now.
But you know what, though?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, you're good.
I hear what you're saying about Baker Mayfield, okay, and leaving Cleveland. Him going through everything, and I saw something on Twitter the other night. Him leaving Cleveland and going through everything he went through was actually good for him because it helped him mature and grow up into the quarterback that he is today. And like I said, yes, he is capped out, but him, if he'd have stayed in Cleveland, he probably would not be the quarterback he is today. That's all I got to say. And so I'm fine with him not being in Cleveland, him being in Tampa Bay, because, and yes, Eric, I mean, yeah, Panda, you said it. He's on his third offensive coordinator in 3 years. I agree.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm speaking on behalf of Cleveland that it wasn't good for Cleveland. I didn't say it wasn't good for Baker.
Yes, it was. Because it takes a team like that to let you go. Just like I'm gonna give you an old example, a real old example. It took Philadelphia to release Chris Carter, so that way Chris Carter can be who he became as a Hall of Fame wide receiver.
That's a good take.
Yeah, it worked. It worked on behalf of the player, but I'm not talking about the player. I'm talking about the organization.
I understand it, but you have to do things because you got to move on. It was not going to work in Cleveland. Just like for Chris Carter, it was not going to work in Philly. If Chris Carter
we don't know if it wasn't going to work in Cleveland because Baker Mayfield had a playoff win. We don't know.
But Baker Mayfield knows for a fact that he was not going to grow up and had to stay in Cleveland.
Baker knew that.
He had to go. Some players because you got to remember Baker Mayfield was arrogant coming out of college. Okay.
Yes.
So you have to go through sometimes you got to go through your trials and tribulations to be who you are. I understand. Cleveland had to let him go.
But I don't think it was for the benefit of Cleveland. It was the benefit of Baker, not the benefit of Cleveland, because Cleveland is still trying to search for a quarterback.
And that's a valid point. That is a valid point. They are looking for a quarterback. I'll give you that.
But for Baker, absolutely, Baker would not be who he was if it wasn't for him getting released for sure.
That's the point I'm making.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
All right, now we didn't talk too much. We got a guest, and we just took over, and we ain't let him say nothing, and we asked him to be on the show, and we ain't let this man talk. Eric James, we gonna shut up. And we
time out. You asked me to say something because I hadn't said anything.
Yeah, I didn't know you was gonna talk that long, man.
Because
I was doing Eric a favor, so he ain't had to talk about how terrible his Saints gonna be this year.
I think he can do it on his own. I promise.
Yeah.
Eric, enlighten us.
So I actually agree with y'all about the division being basically between Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Um, it just more has happened, and they're retaining more as well as adding more. So you just got to tip your hat to them. The Saints, they've retained, they've added. I think a lot of this, especially since we see Gotcha and Reed signing with New Orleans, I think Tyrann Mathieu kind of started a trend of going back home to help the home team kind of thing, and that's the same thing we're getting out of those two guys. Whether it's going to be good or bad, we won't know until the season starts. Let's be honest, because we've seen situations in other teams where the hometown hero goes back and doesn't produce. So we'll just have to see how that goes.
Go ahead.
In terms of the Saints drafting, aside from the quarterback situation, they did a solid draft. It's something that they can build on. The problem is they still got too much age in the room to really build like they need to. Because let's be honest, Cam Jordan, they moving him to the inside. That's a reason for it. He's just not that guy no more. They got some solid pass rushers. Chase Young has shown some promise, but we may see Chase Young eventually. That's something we should be concerned about. But let's be real. Demario Davis is still that dude racking up those tackles, and he's gonna do that until he retires. But is he worth keeping in the long haul to build a team? He's the right type of team leader that you need, but the team needs to get younger, hands down, on both sides of the ball, which they're trying to do that. I don't know how much longer Alvin Kamara is going to last. Kamara has expressed that he wants to stay a Saint and retire as a Saint. We don't know if that's going to be feasible. Let's be real. He's not 6 touchdowns in the game, Alvin Kamara anymore. He's had injury problems. He's still doing the crazy workouts to work on his endurance and balance and things, but he's not that dude no more. Let's just be real. Will he be a contributor? Absolutely. But the big question still is who's the quarterback? Now, we've drafted this second round quarterback. We missed out on, well, we didn't miss out. We made a bad decision in not drafting Shedeur Sanders. That's my take on that. And now we have this guy. He's the only rookie of the Saints who has not signed his contract yet. That speaks volume to me, considering you're already coming in. It's like, if y'all remember, this quarterback reminds me a lot of Chris Winkie coming out of Florida State.
Oh my God! Yeah. This man said Chris Winkie.
But he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Winkie was 26 when he came out.
Yeah,
right. This in the exact same issues that Winkie had. This guy's had. He's had terrible injuries. I mean, we've seen the joking meme going around with him pitching the ball all crazy. His decision making is in. I don't see what Loomis sees. I just don't. And even after that, there were other quarterbacks that you could have picked that I would have took a shot on before I took a shot on this guy. Now, I knew they were probably waiting on Jackson Dart. That was a shot in the dark for me too, but he left earlier. That's it with that. Shedeur Sanders was still there, and you passed up a 21, 22-year-old potential long-term starter who's even in voluntary OTAs is showing that he's got the work ethic to lead a team. This dude, he hasn't signed a contract. So how can you, at this point, how can you really put your faith? If you leave it up to me, I wouldn't start him. I'd give Spencer Rattler another shot. I'd give him another shot at least for the first few games.
I agree.
I would give Spencer Rattler a shot at least for the first few games and see how it goes. Just because, even though Rattler didn't win any games, he made some good throws at the right time when the team needed it. And it wasn't his fault a lot of those times when those throws didn't get caught.
I agree with that.
So with a new system, and I think that was Tristan or Brandon that mentioned earlier about how Kellen Moore came out of Boise State with that
That was
particular
Tristan.
trial. Rattler's capability fits what Kellen Moore did at Boise State.
It does.
So you're going to take a shot on an already proven injury-prone quarterback who's already coming in too old. He's starting too old. Let's just be real. He's starting too old. You could have, if you weren't going to draft Shedeur Sanders, you could have drafted somewhere else. You could have drafted a receiver. You could have drafted another DB. You could have drafted another defensive lineman. You did smart by drafting an offensive lineman in the first round. I was not mad at the pick in the first round. That was a brilliant pick because the guy is solid. So now you've got some young bookends, and you still got some youth coming in the middle because now they're moving Penning to guard. They're moving from tackle to guard.
That's gonna be interesting.
That's the start of building a solid offensive line. But they're still young. They're gonna make mistakes. So why would you bring in the injury-prone rookie instead of drafting somebody, or even just go ahead and putting a little faith in the guy who tried to carry the team as a rookie last season, who learned from mistakes and who is young enough to learn a new system?
Yeah, I would have definitely went with Jalen Milroe if I wasn't getting Shedeur.
Yeah, exactly. He was available. Jalen Milroe was available. Now he's a fullback at quarterback, but
he's kind of raw.
Yeah, definitely raw.
But
who better than Kellen Moore to teach it?
Yeah,
exactly.
And then you got time. Because you pretty much starting over from scratch.
You're starting over.
Milroe wasn't going to play a pick at all.
This team should have started a rebuild this during the offseason, and they failed to do that because we've all been on record in our group chat saying that this team should have been trading away players with draft picks and just start over and just build through the draft for a couple of years and then see where you are. Let's say 2027. Right. There was nothing wrong with that. Mickey Loomis missed a big window of opportunity to create cap space by getting rid of players. Yes, you're under the cap, but you probably could have had way more cap space than you have now.
You're right.
I think it's not too late, but I think if they are sellers at the trade deadline, they could
definitely
probably recoup a lot of cap space and get a lot of draft capital.
Yeah.
So hold on. I'm sorry. The reason why I say behind is because you are going to be a year late. You should have did this before the 2025 draft.
But y'all got to remember. We're forgetting, and Eric's probably going to remind us again on that. Remember, they gambled and brought Derek Carr, and they thought Derek Carr would have sufficed.
Yeah, but they also knew about Derek Carr's shoulder before it went public.
No, they knew this season, but I'm talking about last year.
Right.
The year prior. They knew they gambled bringing in Derek Carr.
Yes,
they thought Derek Carr would have been the answer for them
let's
forward.
Let's be real about that, because a lot of people gonna hate me for saying this that are Saints fans. But somebody should have stepped up years ago and told Drew Brees, you have to sit down.
Oh, that's true.
Because those last 2 or 3 seasons were not beneficial for the Saints. Yeah, we got in the playoff picture, this, that, and the other. But Drew Brees had lost it, let's just be honest, a season or 2 after the Super Bowl win.
But also,
you're not the first person.
They didn't draft a quarterback to get ready to replace Drew Brees. And for someone, and y'all know how much I respect the hell out of Sean Payton for quarterbacks. He should have drafted a future quarterback to get ready to replace Drew Brees, and he failed
Drew
to
Brees
do that.
Playing.
Exactly right. And just like how Pittsburgh should have had somebody playing for Ben Roethlisberger, but
they did the same thing.
Sean Payton, like I said, Sean Payton. I've said it. Sean Payton knows quarterbacks. He missed on a huge opportunity.
Well, here's the thing.
A huge opportunity to replace Drew Brees in the future.
Here's the thing. His plan was to. The problem is his plan got drafted before he could. He was going after Mahomes.
Yeah.
He made it public that Mahomes was the quarterback that he wanted. And by the time it got to his draft, Mahomes was gone. And let's be real. in this draft, only a handful of quarterbacks have matched the talent and development that Mahomes has matched. So, after that draft with Mahomes, it wasn't much he could really pick from. And then there was other needs that the team needed, and that's why they kept rolling the ball with Drew Brees. But, we should have, again, it should have been somebody in development, a trade or something that should have happened.
Something.
To replace Drew Brees. And,
Well, but what the only thing I'll disagree with you, Eric, about is I think the last hoorah was not the couple years after. I think the last hoorah was that what was that, the conference championship with the Rams? That penalty
yes,
that wasn't called
Oh
yes,
God.
because y'all would have
yes,
won the Super Bowl had
Yeah,
y'all had that
that team
had
was
that penalty
strong.
got called and y'all went
I
on to
totally
win.
agree.
Y'all would have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
That
that,
was
I
that was
totally agree.
robbery.
that
That
team
was
That
was
was
strong.
highway robbery.
robbery.
Now, I'm gonna tell you a couple more things, and then I'm gonna shut up. Now, I feel like they made a mistake by extending Drew Brees and not putting the ball in Teddy Bridgewater's hands. And I feel
Mm,
like they should have gave Jameis Winston more time. Those were two
I agree.
quarterbacks that showed that they could lead a team and they could be
I agree with
coached.
that.
I disagree.
No, I agree with that. Especially
Well,
with Jameis.
maybe Teddy Bridgewater, but not Jameis Winston.
No, I think Jameis would have been fine.
Yeah, because Jameis proved he could win. When he got injured that first season, he started with the Saints. The Saints were 5-2, and he only had when you look at
You're right. You're right.
statistically.
He was fine under Sean Payton. I'm thinking of James Winston pre New
What you
Orleans.
think about Tampa Bay, James?
Yeah,
Winston?
yeah. That's
Nah,
right.
man.
Yeah,
You're
when
right.
he
You're right.
when he was
Fine in New
reckless.
Orleans.
That's Lakers right there.
He was fine in New Orleans. You're right. You're right. No, you're right. I give it
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah, but
let's eat these W.
yeah, let's eat the W. There it is. But yeah, that's my take on it. I think we're too old in too many important places. We got a GM that's just playing Russian roulette.
That's the first step. You got to get rid of him.
Yeah,
gotta
it's time for a change, and somebody needs to talk to Gail Benson and really get in her ear about that. Now, I think the fan base for the majority is agreeing with what I'm saying in that regard. It's time for Mickey to go.
I'm gonna be honest. I've not heard a more unified fan base than the Saints. Because every Saints fan that I've talked to, and some of y'all don't know each other. I've talked to a bunch of Saints fans that I know, and all of y'all are saying the same thing. I haven't heard anything different from anybody that's a Saints fan. I think the whole fan base is unified. Loomis got to go, and we need to fire sale and just burn it all down and start up from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because and there's nothing wrong with rebuilding, but teams are so afraid of that R word of rebuild.
Yeah.
But it's a necessary evil for the Saints. It just has to happen. And in all honesty, it's not going to be with Tyler Show. It's just not.
Tyler is not going to last no more than 2 to 3 years in this league. If he, at least as a starter,
I was done with him when he missed that doggone slant route in the comeback. I said, I know you lying.
Yeah.
I was like, did he just miss a slant? Wait a minute. I understand you get time it gets off when you try to throw a corner route or a post route to receivers. You don't know. A slant? A 5 to 10 yard slant? You threw that in the dirt? Yeah. Sir, pack your bag and get out of Indianapolis. That's what I'm saying.
I expected him to be Mr. Irrelevant or less. That was my expectation.
God.
He drafted in the second round still shocks me.
Southwest Airlines is waiting for you at the Indianapolis airport.
So y'all ready to do some picks?
Rankings, yeah, let's rank them.
Okay. So we're gonna start with Eric because he's our guest tonight. We're gonna start with number 4. And then we're going to go around the panel. 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. Okay? All right, so Eric, your number 4 team for the 2025 season in the NFC South is?
The Who Dat Nation.
Okay, the Saints.
New Orleans Saints. I do not expect, looking at the schedule, 3 to 5 wins. 3 more likely than 5.
All right, Brandon, your number 4 team.
Man, it's gotta be the Saints, man. I mean, who's your quarterback? And you have an aging roster. I see a ton of familiar names, but a lot of those guys are older now, and Cedric Wilson keep getting a job. And listen. I love Cedric Wilson, especially for what he did in Dallas. Okay, but I'm not paying a third or fourth string quarterback veteran money. I don't care if it is the veteran minimum. At some point, you got to just draft a quarterback and just keep him. Draft a receiver, excuse me, and just keep him moving. But you don't have a quarterback. Your running back is older than what he is, probably. Your receiver core, again, has names, but like Chris Olave can't stay healthy with those concussions. Cooks keeps getting older. I just said something about Cedric Wilson.
Yeah.
Taysom Hill. Why is Taysom Hill still on the roster?
Fan favorite.
Oh
okay,
my.
you know what? At some point, you got to get rid of the fan favorite, man. Like he's eating. You talking about cap space?
Yeah, he eating money.
Cap space?
He eating money, and he's 34, 35.
Yeah, he's old.
Yeah.
He's old. You can't you can't even get a draft pick for him.
Nope.
All right, let's keep it moving. Tristan.
Yeah, man. Like I said, we sound like a broken record. It's the Saints.
All right.
There's nothing you can do.
Steve's not here, but he gave me his picks. Steve is the one that basically broke the string. He says the Carolina Panthers are going
worse than the Saints?
Yes. Oh, you got to see his picks. Oh, well, and see, Steve do this all the time. Whether we doing power rankings or we picking division.
Oh no, he got an answer for that, bro.
He's got an answer for that. If he comes on next week,
what are you talking about?
We're going to table the AFC South for a couple of minutes. Steve, you got to explain yourself. Wait till you see.
I'm going to assume that his son distracted him. That's what
I don't know.
Junior distracted him.
Listen,
you know what? Hey, Brandon, you know what distracted him?
Listen.
Brandon, you know what distracted him?
Listen.
Leave that man alone.
Listen, Steve was shooting dice in a damn bathroom, man. That's what the hell he was doing when he made his damn picks, man.
He gotta explain that one.
My number 4 is the Saints. I'm sorry, who that nation, but y'all got to rebuild. Sometimes you got to pull back to spring forward, just like if you got a bow.
There's nothing wrong with rebuilding. Stop being scared of the R word.
There's nothing wrong with starting from scratch, man. You had a Hall of Fame QB. There's nothing wrong with starting from scratch.
You guys, and I've said it before. I'm sorry, Eric. I know you're trying to keep this thing going. I said it before, and I said it again. You were spoiled by having a Hall of Fame quarterback. There's nothing wrong with that. But at some point, you got to move forward. And it's fine. Start over. Let's start from scratch. Let's get some draft picks. Let's rebuild this team, and let's
build this right.
Like in a couple of years. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that.
All right. So number 3, we're gonna do it snake style. So I'm next. Number 3, I have the Carolina Panthers. I think they're gonna be better than they were last year, they were dead last. But I think they're gonna be. I think they're going to be better, but not quite ready. Like I said before, not quite ready for prime time because this is a very young team. Almost the entire nucleus of that team is young.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
Including the quarterback. So I think they're going to be better because Bryce Young showed us something toward the end of last year. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, he did.
So I think with the pieces that they're putting around him, Xavier Legette's getting better as a wide receiver.
He got himself a girlfriend now.
Yeah, man, look, don't get me started. But look, I feel like that he's gonna. They're gonna be better, but not quite. I think the 2026 season is when we're gonna see Carolina. Like, okay, all right, here they come. If they provided they have another draft, another offseason like they had this year, Carolina will be back in the conversation in 2026. Yep. That's why I have a number 3. Steve has the Atlanta Falcons.
What the heck? I'm sorry.
At number 3. He always does it. When he's not going to be on the show, he gives us something crazy, and he ain't here to defend it.
That's why
Falcons are 3.
That's why I said the man was shooting dice in the bathroom, and it was dark.
He has the Atlanta Falcons not making the playoffs.
I'm about to text him. You gotta come explain this, bro.
Oh no, because I already texted him about it, and he didn't answer me because he knew. All right, Tristan, number 3.
I'm still stuck on the Falcons being at 3. The Panthers.
Okay.
Panthers at 3. For the same reasons that you said.
Yeah, I think they're getting better. They're just not quite ready. Brandon, number 3.
Hey, have y'all seen the movie The Cookout? It's an old movie.
It's been a while, yeah.
Probably,
Okay,
yeah.
so Xavier Leggett reminds me of those two country boys that brought the deer in the house for that cookout. That's what Xavier Leggett remind me of.
You know what? Xavier Leggett's welcome at my house anytime.
Hey, listen.
Let me get my knives ready.
Listen. That new girlfriend he have, he gonna be like, look, dear, you want some deer meat?
Hey, listen, he's one of my favorite players right now, just because he's so country.
That boy country.
You know I like country.
That boy country boy. That boy, listen.
He all right with me. He all right with me. He
That's
cool
what I'm saying.
He
cool with me.
I like him.
He's cool with me.
I like it, man.
I just need him to catch key passes. Just catch key passes. You all right with me?
Number 3?
Yeah, Carolina. Bryce Young just need to continue to show that he's getting better as a quarterback, like he did last year towards the end of the season. Hopefully him getting benched will kind of help him, like it helped Baker Mayfield going when he went through all those releases and then move from team to team. Help him take the next step. He has young receivers. Tedron McMillan was drafted this year. Xavier Leggett's going to his third year, I think, or something like that, second year, something like that. I don't know who's the running back.
Chubb. Not Chubb. What's that boy name?
Hubbard, yeah. Hubbard. Yeah. That's a young running back.
You got the CHUB right.
Oh, that's why I said Chubb, the Chuba. Yep.
Yeah. Chuba Hubbard is a young running back.
He had a great season.
The offensive line, the left tackle should be going to his prime, but I still think he's underdeveloped, man. To be honest with you, I think he's underdeveloped. I love the defensive coordinator. I've always been a fan of him. Yep. I just wish I wish they would give him what he needs to really show who he is as a defensive coordinator.
Yep, I agree.
I'm a huge fan of him. I really am, but he ain't got everything he needs. So but yeah, Carolina's number 3, man. They're just not ready yet.
All right. Eric, who's your number 3 team?
Yeah, definitely Carolina. I have a good feeling about Bryce Young. And that offense, I see them above the middle of the pack a little bit, potentially. Maybe not top 10, but, top 16, they should be in that ballpark in terms of offensive production. And the defense, like Brandon was saying, that defensive coordinator knows how to scheme.
Yeah, he does.
He really knows how to scheme. So definitely Carolina.
And he's very, very well respected across culture circles, not just in the NFL, but just in general. I was watching a podcast yesterday, and his name came up as a coach that used to be at a certain college where some other coaches came from. I was like, okay, yeah, he's very respectable just across the coaching world, period. So love the defensive coordinator, but he needs guys.
All right, so doing this snake style, Eric, number 2.
I'm going to take a shot in the dark. I'm going to say Tampa Bay at number 2.
Okay.
I'm going to say that only because it's not so much what Tampa Bay can do, but more so what Atlanta has the potential to do. And I'm banking on their potential. I trust Raheem Morris. I trust him as a coach, even as a coordinator. I trust him. I'm scared for the Saints to see him this year, just because the pieces that they've had are growing, and they've added more to that growth. So, Tampa Bay at number 2 for me.
Okay, Brandon.
I've really wrestled with this because there is a trade rumor involving a player for the Falcons. So, that has me wondering a little bit. But Tampa Bay is on their 3rd offensive coordinator, and as far as head coaches go, I trust Raheem Morris more than I trust Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles knows defense. He's fantastic on defense.
Great coordinator.
But he is too much of a gambler in my opinion. Raheem Morris is more of a safe guy. So I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay at 2 only because of third offense coordinator 3 years, and Bowles is such a gambler on defense.
All right, Tristan, number 2.
Yeah, number two, I'm going with Tampa. Similar. Just the changing of offense coordinator that much, I think, is a lot. Um, I'm also leaning towards Eric James' reasoning as far as the potential of what the Falcons are able to do. I do as well trust Raheem Morris more. I trust Raheem Morris even on the fact of because he has such a potent offensive players, and he came from learning from an offensive wizard like Sean McVay. I feel like that's going to hold dividends um, for him. And so I just believe, Tampa. I believe Tampa's going to show us some things. I'm rooting for Shiloh. I heard Shiloh's been doing great. I'm rooting for Shiloh, but I got Tampa at 2.
Well, their offensive coordinator comes from McVay. It's Zach Robinson.
Yeah,
So
I know. Hmm.
so yeah, it's definitely similar, very very similar system.
Hmm.
All right, so Steve actually agreed with all of us, and he picked the Bucks as his second team.
He still got an answer for that.
Yeah, no, wait, no, you got some more to answer for, but I'm gonna skip over. I too also picked the Buccaneers for a lot of the same reasons why you have, why you guys said, I should say. What really got me is coaching continuity, because if you think about it, the most stable coaching staff right now going into next season is probably going to be Atlanta. And
It really is.
with Baker Mayfield, y'all know how I feel. I talk about that Baker Mayfield cycle. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And he do to come down to 6:00 pretty soon.
But you know what though?
And
This time, I'm sorry to cut you off. This time, if it happens, I'm not going to fully put that on his plate, because when you keep going through offensive coordinators like that, it will be difficult. And
ask Alex Smith.
Yeah,
He had 7 in a row.
Yep.
right.
So
Sure did.
Baker Mayfield switching offenses is gonna mess up his continuity a little bit, and that's gonna be just enough. And when I say just enough, I'm talking about maybe a 1 or 2 game difference between these two teams. I got the Buccaneers second, and I got Atlanta winning the South this year, because actually it's time for a new team to win the South. So I have Atlanta for my number one, Bucks for 2, Atlanta number 1. Steve has the New Orleans Saints winning the division.
He trolling. He got to be trolling. He trolling.
Listen,
He trolling. He
Listen.
trolling.
like I
He
said,
trolling. He trolling.
Steve was shooting dice in the bathroom and it was dark.
I'm not even gonna take that seriously. I'm gonna just assume he just trolling. He was like, "Let me just do something to make the show interesting, get some more clicks." Like that.
The only thing I can think of is that he's putting a lot of hope in what Kellen Moore can do as a coach. That's the only thing that's the only bright spot that I could see to make him say that they could be a winner. Because Kellen Moore is a Super Bowl winning coordinator.
Hey man, Emeril Lagasse
Kellen Moore is a
Emeril
Super Bowl.
Lagasse is a hell of a chef.
Wait. Hold on. First of all, let's get something straight. Kellen Moore, I think that offensive line coach in Philadelphia tapped Kellen Moore on the shoulder and said, "Run the ball. You got Saquon Barkley back here. Run the ball." That offensive line coach won the Super Bowl. That's what happened. It wasn't Nick Sirianni. It wasn't Kellen Moore. That offensive line coach was well respected across coaching circles. Jeff Sutherland, I think his name.
Mm-hmm.
He tapped Kellen Moore on the shoulder, said, "Run the ball."
Yep.
Emeril Lagasse is a good chef, but if you just give him a bag of microwave popcorn and some Twizzlers, he cannot cook Thanksgiving dinner.
Listen, man, Kellen Moore. Never mind. Let me shut up. Just keep going.
All right, so Brandon, Tristan, we on you. Number one is
I
Atlanta.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you know it's Atlanta.
So we're all Atlanta across the
Where's
top.
Steve at, yo? Let me text him, yo. Where he at, yo?
Steve messing up the integrity of the show. But so
Like, what's happening?
all of us picked Atlanta to win the division and picked the Buccaneers to possibly. There has not been a wild card to come out of this division in some time. So we're basically saying Atlanta's going to probably be somewhere, maybe that 4 seed this year. Yeah. So I think because the other 3 divisions in the conference are stronger. So I'm looking at I'm looking at Atlanta being the 4 seed. So yeah, man, that's kind of how we had it fall, except for Steve, because Eric, myself, Brandon, and Tristan, we picked exactly the same. Exactly, we have a consensus all the way across. Steve coming in here and messing up the integrity of the show. See, I'm telling you, when we go on next week, before we start on the new division, Steve, you want to explain yourself. You want to explain that. I'm serious. Because
I think he was. I'm just gonna put he was trolling. I can't. I'm not gonna believe that my brother, as intelligent of a person he is, really did that.
So you think he pulled like a Nick Wright, just to be saying something?
Yeah, just say something. Just a third of pot.
Colin Cowherd type of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or just say something. It's not. There's no facts to support it. Anything. It's just I'm gonna go with my gut and just say something.
I'm gonna just say something because.
Just because.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that is our show for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. In case you missed it, all of us who got some sense picked the Atlanta Falcons to win the NFC South. And we did pick the Saints to be last, but the future's bright. All they got to do is make Mickey Loomis disappear some one way or another in New Orleans. That's about it. Brandon, take us out.
All right. So first, on the behalf of the and I know this is gonna come completely out of left field, but on the behalf of Just a Fan Podcast, we would like to congratulate Jim Irsay's 3 daughters on becoming the new owners of the Indianapolis
awesome.
Colts. Huh?
Awesome.
Yeah. The oldest daughter is the principal owner. She's the owner CEO. The other 2 are also co-owners, but they also got other roles attached to their names. I forgot all the details, but you all can go on the Indianapolis Colts football website and see all the details for yourself, or you can see it on Twitter or somewhere on social media. So, yeah, that'll save me time. We appreciate our guest, Eric James, Big E, Who Dat Nation, for coming on our show again. We appreciate you, sir, as always. And, of course, we'll have you on again next year when we do this again. For the NFC South. Always love talking to intelligent people when it comes to football. I'm the type person, and I'm sure my co-host can agree with me when saying this. I can only talk to so many people when it comes to talking football.
Absolutely,
I really can, because when people start getting and I'm like, oh no, my head start to hurt and I gotta run.
Make my eye twitch.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I got to jump into my football group and I got to say something, and then I'm like, okay, good, I'm better now. But yeah, that's how, and this is serious, folks. This is how serious it is. Okay, that's how serious it is. But yes, thank you again for coming on our show as always.
Thank you.
We are live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook and we're live on Twitch. Okay, you all can follow us on TikTok. You can follow us on matter of fact, I guess TikTok is no longer going to get banned because I haven't heard anything in a long time.
Right?
Nope, it's here to stay.
Which is crazy. Anyway, so I guess that was a bunch of fluff. Anyway, Twitter, you can follow us on Twitter as well. You can follow us on IG. You can follow us on Facebook. I'm gonna try to put up the Facebook schedule. I'm gonna try to put up the division by division schedule on Facebook sometime this week, so that way everybody can see it. And folks, again, we finished with the NFC South. Next week we cover the AFC South, and we got 6 other divisions after that. If your favorite team is in that division and you like to be on our show, let us know. Or if you know somebody who you think is good enough to be on our show, let us know. Get them in contact with us, and we'll talk to them and see if we feel like they can be on our show. Okay, but don't be coming up with some nonsense talking about Will Greer is MVP next year. Don't do that. If you say Will Greer is MVP next year, I'm screaming. Okay, don't be sitting here saying Malik Collins is winning Defensive Player of the Year. He's going to have 55 sacks next year. Don't do that. Okay? Thank you. Appreciate you.
This has been another broadcast of Just a Fan Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Brandon said what he said, y'all.
He
He said what he said. So don't play out here.
Say don't play in my face. That's what Brandon said. Don't play in my face. That's you could have just said don't play in my face. That'd have been fine. Yeah. He's serious about his ball. His football, you know.
Oh my goodness. All right, y'all, ladies and gentlemen, good night. Peace out.
No, I do not.